let's look into the fight back against slavery. Slavery was a brutal practice, whether the enslaved person lived in the northern or southern colonies. They basically had no rights, and they could be beaten or whipped at any time. Their families, including children, could be taken away. Typically, enslaved Africans could be kept from joining together or learning how to read and write. However, many enslaved people found ways to resist this practice. Some taught themselves to read and write and used this knowledge to help others find their own ways to go against the rules. Others might break tools, set fire to property, work slowly, or stall for time by inspecting something that was not important. Stealing food was another way that enslaved people fought back. The extra food also helped them to survive. Some enslaved people took or destroyed the property of people who had stolen their freedom. Enslaved people also tried to escape from their owners. Sometimes runaways formed new villages far away from white-owned settlements. In this way, they were able to hide and could avoid capture for longer periods of time. Often, runaways were relatively privileged slaves who had served as riverboatmen or coachmen, and they had investigated their surroundings before their escape. In a few cases, enslaved Africans fought back in a more violent way. Slave uprisings or rebellions occurred in several colonies, including New York, Virginia, and South Carolina. Such rebellions were often bloody. In 1739, the Stono Rebellion in South Carolina left dozens of people, both white and black, dead. Our third reading checkpoint says to discuss with someone how enslaved Africans found ways to resist slavery. If you do not wish to discuss it with someone, please go back through the text and highlight or underline where you can find that information. These uprisings worried some slaveholders. They sometimes responded by being stricter on enslaved Africans. In 1741, for example, there was a rumor of a slave rebellion in New York City that led to terrible violence against enslaved Africans. Whites, who were thought to be helping enslaved people, were also punished in the same cruel way. Even after this, enslaved Africans did not back down. On plantations, they came up with ways of supporting one another and sharing important information. For example, they used songs to send secret messages among themselves. These songs helped enslaved Africans survive. With time, such songs became part of American culture. Now, our lesson 3 checkpoint only has 3 questions. The fourth question there, it says, so number 4, says to describe 2 characteristics of slavery in the southern colonies. Those are important key words. Make sure your information is coming from the southern colonies, not the northern colonies. 5 says to explain how enslaved Africans were affected by the Middle Passage. So what did it do, for them or against them? And 6 says compare and contrast. Based on your investigation of the text, describe the differences between the large and small farms in the colonies and how this affected slavery. There are 2 parts to this question. If you run out of room in your response, please write it on loose leaf or another blank location and make sure you label it. So you have 2 parts here. The differences between large and small farms, and then how, keyword here, how this affected the slavery. All right, good luck.